All right, so get ready because today we're going to dive deep into 10 words
10 words.
that can seriously boost your impact at work.
Absolutely.
We're looking at this presentation that just lays out these power words. And
Yeah.
they're not just your average vocabulary builders, you know?
No, not at all. It's amazing how a single word can really shift the tone of a conversation,
Right.
especially when you're in a professional setting. And I think it's about more than just being understood.
Yeah.
It's about, projecting confidence and leadership.
Projecting leadership. Okay, so let's unpack this a little bit.
Yeah.
This presentation kicks off with collaborate,
Okay.
which seems pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah, right on the surface.
Yeah.
Teamwork, working together.
I bet it goes deeper.
It does go deeper. What I find fascinating about the word collaborate is that it has this subtle invitation for diverse perspectives.
Okay.
When you use that word, it's like you're signaling that you value input from others and you're creating a space for, shared ownership of ideas.
Shared ownership. I like that.
And solutions.
Okay, so it's less about giving orders
Yes.
and more about creating a sense of partnership,
Exactly.
which is definitely more appealing,
Absolutely.
especially in today's work environment.
Yes.
And speaking of creating a sense of partnership, this presentation links collaborate to synergy.
Oh, synergy. I love that word.
Another one of those power words.
Yes.
Yeah.
Synergy is all about the magic that happens when you have different people with different strengths
Yeah.
coming together and achieving something greater than they could on their own.
Yeah.
It's like that 1 + 1 = 3 effect,
Right, right.
And communication is the key
It is the key.
to unlocking that potential.
I think it's interesting how the presentation pairs synergy with another word,
Okay.
resolve.
Resolve.
Because sometimes, even with the best collaboration,
Sure.
disagreements or roadblocks pop up.
Of course.
And that's when the ability to resolve issues becomes super important.
Absolutely. Resolve is such a powerful word because it implies action
Yeah.
and a solution-oriented mindset.
Solution-oriented. I like that.
It suggests that you're not just acknowledging a problem, you're actively seeking a resolution.
Right.
And you're probably doing it through collaboration.
Through collaboration. Okay, so we've got collaborate,
Yeah.
synergy, and resolve.
Right.
It's like this formula for effective teamwork,
I love it.
even when things get tough.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got this collaborative problem-solving foundation.
Okay.
But to really make a difference in a professional setting, you've got to bring fresh ideas to the table.
Well, that's where innovate comes in.
Innovate.
This word, it goes beyond just suggesting new ideas.
Yeah.
It speaks to a willingness to kind of challenge the status quo.
Okay.
Push boundaries.
Push the boundaries, yeah.
Using innovate signals that you're not content with the way things are.
Right.
You're constantly looking for ways to improve and evolve.
So I see it as a way to inject energy and excitement into a project or a team.
Absolutely.
It's like saying, hey, let's shake things up and create something amazing.
I love it.
But of course, you can't just throw out ideas without a plan.
Right.
That's where things could get a little
Yeah, it could get messy.
messy. Yeah.
And that's where the word prioritize
Okay. Yeah.
becomes so crucial.
Prioritize.
Because when you're innovating, you often have multiple ideas
Right.
and possibilities.
Yeah.
So being able to clearly communicate which ones are the most important,
Yeah.
which ones deserve the most attention, that can make a huge difference in terms of efficiency and focus.
So it's like having a filter
Yes.
for all that creative energy.
Exactly.
Okay, so you're collaborating,
Right.
resolving issues,
Yes.
innovating, and prioritizing.
That's a lot.
That is a lot to keep track of.
Yeah.
Is there a word in this presentation
Oh, there is.
that addresses that sense of potential overwhelm?
Absolutely. The presentation highlights the word streamline.
Streamline.
It's all about finding ways to simplify processes,
Okay.
eliminate unnecessary steps,
Right.
and essentially make things run smoother.
Okay.
Think of it as decluttering your workflow,
Oh, I like that.
both physically and mentally.
It's like that satisfying feeling of organizing a messy drawer,
Yes.
only it's your entire work process.
Exactly.
I can see how that would reduce stress and improve overall productivity.
Absolutely.
Now, you mentioned eliminating unnecessary steps.
Yes.
And this next word from the presentation really speaks to that efficiency mindset.
Okay.
Leverage.
Leverage is all about making the most of what you already have.
Okay.
Whether it's your own skills and experience,
Right.
the resources that are available to you,
Yeah.
or even the expertise of your team members.
The expertise of your team. Okay.
It's about maximizing your potential by strategically utilizing what's at your disposal.
Okay. This one intrigues me.
Yeah.
It's a bit more nuanced
It is.
than some of the others.
Yes.
It seems like it could be used in a really positive way.
Yeah.
It's like, let's leverage our collective knowledge to solve this problem.
Right.
But it also feels like it could have a slightly manipulative edge,
It could.
depending on the context.
You're right. There is a subtle power dynamic at play.
There it is.
With leverage,
Yeah.
it suggests a level of control
Okay.
or influence.
Control or influence.
And like any powerful tool, it can be used for good or for, let's say, less than ideal purposes.
What's less than ideal purposes, right?
Yeah.
So it's a word that requires a bit more awareness and finesse.
I think so.
You can't just throw it around carelessly.
Right.
Speaking of words that require careful consideration, I think proactive kind of fits that category too.
Oh, proactive.
Yeah, it's another one from this presentation.
Yeah.
And it's all about taking initiative, anticipating problems, and essentially staying ahead of the curve.
Proactive is one of those words that sounds great in theory,
It does.
but it's the actions behind it that really matter.
Yeah, you can't just say you're proactive. You have to
Yeah.
actually demonstrate it.
Exactly. You have to demonstrate it through your behavior.
Okay, so let's talk about how someone could actually demonstrate proactive communication in the workplace,
Okay.
because I think that's where it gets really interesting.
So think about it this way. Instead of waiting for problems to arise, a proactive communicator might say something like, you know, I've noticed a potential bottleneck in our workflow.
Oh.
Let's brainstorm some solutions before it becomes a major issue.
Oh, I see.
They're anticipating challenges and taking the initiative to address them
Right.
before they escalate.
Before they escalate, and they're doing it in a collaborative way,
Yes.
which brings us back to our earlier discussion about collaborate and resolve.
It all connects.
It's all starting to connect now.
It really is. And that's what's so fascinating about this presentation.
Yeah.
It's not just a list of words.
Right.
It's a framework for effective communication that can be applied in countless professional scenarios.
All right, so we've covered collaborate, synergy, resolve, innovate, prioritize, streamline, leverage, and proactive.
Wow, that's 8.
That's 8 power words, down 2 more to go.
Okay.
But before we jump into those, let's pause for a moment and let our listener absorb all this amazing information.
Sounds good.
We'll be right back after a quick break. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground already.
We
We
have.
talked about collaboration, synergy, resolving issues,
Right.
innovation, prioritization, streamlining,
Yeah.
leveraging resources, and being proactive.
Uh-huh.
That's 8 powerful words down,
Wow.
with 2 more to go from this presentation.
Okay.
It's like we're building this toolkit for communication mastery, one word at a time,
I love that analogy.
and each word builds upon the others,
Yes.
creating a framework for effective communication
Absolutely.
that can be applied in so many different professional settings.
Countless scenarios.
It's not just about memorizing definitions.
Yeah.
It's about understanding how these words work together
Great.
to create a more impactful and influential communication style.
And speaking of impact, I think it's time to introduce our 9th word.
Okay.
Clarify.
Clarify.
It might seem simple, but in a world of, constant communication,
Right.
the ability to seek and provide clear explanations
Yeah.
can be a game changer.
Clarify is one of those words that I never really thought of as a power word
Really?
until I started working with you.
Oh, interesting.
It seems so basic.
Yeah, it does seem basic on the surface.
Yet I've seen so many workplace mishaps happen because of a lack of clarity.
Oh, I know it's true.
It's crazy.
Misunderstandings and misinterpretations
Yeah.
can derail projects,
Totally.
damage relationships, create unnecessary stress.
Yes.
And oftentimes it all boils down to a simple failure to clarify expectations, instructions, or feedback.
It's true. So how can we use clarify more effectively in our communication?
Okay.
What are some practical tips?
Well, for starters, don't be afraid to ask questions. If something is unclear, don't assume you're the only one who's confused.
Right.
Chances are others are feeling the same way.
Yeah.
So speak up and say something like, could you clarify what you meant by?
Uh-huh.
And then insert the specific point that you need clarification on.
That makes sense. And on the flip side, if you're the one giving instructions or feedback,
Yes.
make sure you're being as clear and specific as possible.
Absolutely.
Don't leave room for ambiguity.
Exactly. And if you notice someone looking confused or hesitant,
Okay.
check in with them.
How?
Say something like, does that make sense? Do you have any questions?
Oh, I see.
This opens the door for them to seek clarification without feeling like they're interrupting or admitting they didn't understand.
Right. It's all about creating that culture of open communication
Yes.
where people feel comfortable asking for clarification
Absolutely.
without fear of judgment.
Exactly.
And speaking of creating a culture of open communication,
Yeah.
I think that ties in nicely with our final word from the presentation.
Okay, what is optimize?
Optimize.
Well, I like that one.
Optimize is a powerful word because it implies this commitment to continuous improvement.
Okay.
It's about constantly seeking ways to do things better, more efficiently,
Right.
and with better results.
Better results. Okay.
Think of it as, having a growth mindset,
Yeah.
but applied to communication.
I like that. Growth mindset for communication.
It's about recognizing that there's always room for improvement
Always.
and actively seeking out ways to refine and enhance our communication skills.
And optimize doesn't just apply to individual communication.
Right.
It can be applied to team communication as well.
Absolutely. It's about finding ways to streamline processes,
Right.
improve collaboration,
Uh-huh.
and ensure that everyone is on the same page,
Yes.
working towards the same goals.
So how do we go about optimizing our communication both individually and as a team?
That's a great question.
What are some concrete steps we can take?
Well, one important step is to regularly seek feedback.
Feedback. Ask your colleagues for their honest opinions about your communication style.
Well, that's a good idea.
What are your strengths?
Yeah.
What could you improve?
Right.
This can be a really valuable way to identify blind spots
Yeah.
and areas where you can grow.
It's like having a communication coach
Right.
there in your workplace.
Exactly. And on a team level, maybe it's about establishing clear communication protocols
Okay.
or implementing new tools
Yeah.
that enhance collaboration and information sharing.
That makes sense.
Exactly. And it's about being willing to experiment and try new things.
Yeah.
There's no one-size-fits-all approach to communication optimization. It's
Right.
about finding what works best for your team and your specific workplace environment.
So let's recap.
Okay.
We started with collaborate and synergy,
Yes.
moved on to resolve and innovate.
Uh-huh.
Then we explored prioritize and streamline,
Right.
delved into the nuances of leverage and proactive,
Yes.
and finally landed on the importance of clarify and optimize.
And throughout this entire journey,
Yeah.
the underlying theme has been the power of language.
The power of language. I like that.
These 10 words aren't just random vocabulary builders.
Right.
They're tools that can transform your communication style
Yeah.
and empower you to create a more impactful and fulfilling professional experience.
But as we've discussed, it's not just about saying the words.
No,
It's about embodying the principles they represent.
absolutely.
It's about integrating these concepts into our daily interactions,
Yes,
both big and small.
exactly. Because ultimately, effective communication is not about memorizing a list of words.
Right.
It's about developing a mindset, a way of approaching interactions
Perfect.
that fosters understanding, builds trust,
Yeah.
and creates a more harmonious and productive work environment.
As we're wrapping up this deep dive,
Yeah.
I'm struck by how these 10 words,
Uh-huh.
while seemingly simple on the surface,
Right.
actually encompass a whole spectrum of essential communication skills. From collaboration and problem solving to innovation and clarity, it's all there.
It's really quite remarkable.
It is.
And what's even more remarkable is how these words can be applied
Yeah.
across various industries and professional levels.
Right.
Whether you're a seasoned executive or just starting your career,
Yeah.
these principles of effective communication
Uh-huh.
remain relevant and impactful.
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit
Okay.
and bring our listener back into the conversation. We've explored these 10 powerful words.
Yes.
But now it's time to take it a step further.
Okay, I like it.
Think about your own workplace
Mm-hmm.
and your own communication style.
Okay.
Which of these words resonates with you the most?
That's a good question.
And more importantly, how can you start incorporating it into your daily interactions?
Maybe you're already a master collaborator,
Right?
but you struggle with being proactive, or perhaps you excel at clarifying expectations.
Yeah.
But you need to work on streamlining your workflow. Whatever the case may be, there's always room for growth and improvement.
There is. It's about identifying your strengths and weaknesses as a communicator
Yes.
and then using these words as guideposts
Uh-huh.
to enhance your overall communication effectiveness.
And don't be afraid to experiment.
Okay.
Try incorporating one or two of these words into your vocabulary this week
This week. Okay.
and see how it impacts your interactions.
Okay.
You might be surprised by the subtle but significant shifts
The subtle but significant shifts.
that occur.
It's like a communication challenge for our listener.
I love it.
Pick a word, put it into action, and observe the results.
And remember, communication is an ongoing journey, not a destination.
That's a great point.
It's about constantly learning, adapting, and refining our skills
Right.
to become more confident, impactful, and authentic communicators.
That's a great point to end on.
I think so too.
Effective communication is a lifelong pursuit.
It is.
And so keep exploring, keep experimenting,
Yes.
and keep striving to become the best communicator you can be.
And who knows, maybe you'll even discover a few power words of your own along the way.
That's a great thought.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time. As we've been, exploring these 10 powerful words, I've been thinking about how they can be both empowering and potentially a little tricky if they aren't used thoughtfully.
That's an insightful observation. It's like any tool really used skillfully, these words can really enhance your communication and help you achieve your goals.
Exactly.
If they're overused or applied in the wrong context, they can lose their impact or even backfire.
Exactly. Like imagine someone constantly throwing around the word innovate for every minor suggestion.
For everything,
It would start to feel empty.
It would.
And lose its meaning.
Exactly. It's important to be mindful of the frequency and the context in which you use these words. Like innovate, for example, should really be reserved for truly groundbreaking ideas or approaches, not just, incremental improvements.
Not just incremental improvements. And I'm thinking about leverage, too.
Oh, leverage. Yeah.
We talked earlier about how it has this subtle power dynamic.
It does.
If someone uses it too often, it might come across as manipulative or even a bit arrogant.
Yeah, like they're always trying to one-up everyone else.
Yeah. So awareness is key, right?
I think so.
It's about being sensitive to the nuances of these words.
Yes.
And using them in a way that feels authentic and appropriate for the situation.
Absolutely. And that's where the word clarify comes back into play.
Clarify.
If you're ever unsure about the appropriate use of a word, or if you sense that your message isn't being received as intended, don't hesitate to ask for clarification or feedback.
It's like a safety net.
It is.
For effective communication.
It allows you to course correct if needed. And ensures that everyone is on the same page.
And this whole conversation reminds me of something we discussed earlier.
Oh, what's that?
The importance of resolve.
Ah, resolve. Yes, even with the best intentions.
Yeah.
And the most skillful use of language, misunderstandings can still occur.
They can.
And that's when the ability to resolve conflict or address miscommunications becomes so crucial.
It's about having that problem-solving mindset.
Yes.
And being willing to work through challenges in a constructive and collaborative way.
Exactly. And remember, resolving conflict isn't about winning or losing. It's about finding a solution that works for everyone involved. It's about preserving relationships and moving forward in a positive and productive manner.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I'm feeling a sense of empowerment.
Empowering.
It's like we've been given this secret decoder ring for communication.
I love that analogy.
And now we can go out into the world and use it to unlock new levels of understanding and connection.
And it's not just about decoding. It's about encoding as well.
Encoding.
It's about consciously choosing words that convey our message clearly, effectively, and authentically.
So to our listener, I'd say this.
Okay.
Don't just listen to this deep dive and then file it away in the back of your mind. Take these 10 powerful words.
Yes.
And make them your own.
I love it.
Experiment with them, play with them.
Yeah.
And see how they can transform your communication style and your overall professional experience.
And remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about being intentional. It's about making a conscious effort to choose words that elevate your communication and create a more positive and impactful presence in the workplace.
Because in the end, words have power.
They do.
And when we use them wisely, we can unlock a world of possibilities.
So true.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time.